So that's why a really annoying tune is picked so it sticks in your head like an earworm and plays over and over and over again. Is that the tactic there?
Look, it's terrible, and it is like an earworm, Pete, and I have been humming it myself and then stopping myself and thinking, my goodness, I've fallen into the trap. And when the hairdresser was saying it to me yesterday and humming the tune, I thought, oh my goodness, this is really cut through. But for those of us who are old enough to remember Whinging Wendy in 1987, who was one of the Singleton strokes of genius. Look, she had the terrible voice, if you remember. Where's the money coming from, Mr. Howard? But it's stuck in everyone's mind. So, I think the Liberals have had a better campaign. Whether it's enough, we'll find out tomorrow night. If we find out tomorrow night.
Is that jingle
postals, so many postals to count.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so is the jingle as good as the bill you can't afford from 3 years ago?
Oh, look, I think it's better, actually.
Right.
I do think it's better. It's so ghastly that it's kind of really, it has dominated, and that's given the Liberals a lot of extra airtime. But with all the postals to still count after tomorrow night, I don't know if we'll have a result on Saturday or on Sunday. At least 20% or more of people have voted by post, another 30% roughly by pre-poll. They'll count those tomorrow night. But we're now in a kind of 2-week voting period in Australian elections. Election day is just the final day of voting, but it's no longer just election day that counts. It's the 2 weeks beforehand. And a lot of people had made up their mind. I think one of the last people on that story before said that people have made up their mind. I think they had. I think the government shook people a bit in the last fortnight, but a lot of people have already voted. So whether they voted and now regret the way they voted, we'll never know.
It's often said that oppositions don't win elections, that governments lose them. If Scott Morrison does lose the election tomorrow, what would you put that down to?
Look, I think people have changed their attitude around COVID. I think those people do give the government credit for 2 years of managing COVID, but they're really over it. I think there's a sense of people wanting to change. The coalition's been in power for 9 years, and I think if the government loses, it'll be because of that, why don't we try something different and see if it's any worse kind of factor.
A bit like Kevin 07.
But, people... Well, that's right. Well, I'm thinking Kevin 07 too, Pete. People thinking the economy was going so well. John Howard and Peter Costello had done such a good job that even Labor couldn't stuff it up. And 6 years later, of course, they realised that they had. So whether that happens again, hopefully I'm still alive to see it.
Hey, it is a nice haircut, by the way, Christopher. Very sharp.
Thank you. I don't mind it. As a new hairdresser, I think I'll go back to Mr. Coombs. Mr. Combs.
Just to check. So do you want to give them a plug?
Mr. Combs, there you are. We've given him a plug in Weymouth Street, Adelaide.
Okay.
Rush to see them.
Go to Mr. Combs in Adelaide if you want to get a nice tidy hairdo.
Next time you're in Adelaide, Pete, pop down to Mr. Combs.
I will too.
You can often need a bit of a haircut, Peter.
Yeah, I do. I think I need one. I do need to see Mr. Combs. Unfortunately, I won't be able to get there today, though, Christopher. Big weekend ahead. We'll talk to you later on.